What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another Walk, Talk, and Rock show. I'm your host, Xaiyeon. So I was super busy yesterday, and I wasn't able to make any video. So today we're gonna be doing at least an hour, all right? But today's title video, well, we're just gonna be talking about Nintendo's lineup for Gamescon, I guess. I don't even know. There's like nothing to talk about right now, other than if you watched, the new Marvel's Spider-Man: A Brand New Day, or any of the sort. So today will be just a lot of yapping about games that are related to Nintendo's Gamescom. So here, I think for the media or the press kit, it suggests the Switch 2 is no longer being treated as Nintendo's first party machine. It's going to be treated like a third party games. And I guess it's going to prove that it can handle other games, because I don't know what's going on with Nintendo, but I feel like most of the people that originally, of course, and some of the original franchisees are kind of retiring, I guess. I'm not really too sure. I think a lot of the original developers at Nintendo and engineers, they probably kind of, they kind of quit. I'm guessing. That's my take. So there wasn't really much of a huge reveal for anything. So I'm guessing, if you're a fan of Nintendo or not, we will closely watch what's going to happen to this huge corporate company. We've seen companies like this time and time again. Usually the average lifespan of any company is 25 years. And that's when most companies stop being profitable and go on a decline, which closely lines up with the dot-com bust, in 2000, 2001. We're starting to hit that benchmark in the economic cycle. I don't know, what was that? So, kind of be aware of that situation. So let's get right into it. So the lineup is notable because only 3 highlighted games are Nintendo-owned releases. That's what I was trying to say, because most of the other games are third-party releases or re-releases that have been ported to the Nintendo Switch 2. And in my opinion, that doesn't sound like a good sign. Well, maybe I'm wrong. So in this Walk, Talk, and Rock show, we'll be talking about what Nintendo is bringing to Gamescom, followed up by Nintendo's own games. Are they safe, familiar, and social? Or are they going to continue the trend of, being a family-friendly brand? Which is fine. Nothing going on there. We're going to try to say very neutral things about Nintendo. The third-party games that they'll be launching with support, like Call of Duty 007, First Light, and other games, I guess. Maybe they're going to have indie games too. What the full lineup says about the Switch 2, where it is headed. Maybe we'll talk about and see like if there's going to be a Switch 3 in the future for Nintendo, and if the lineup is strong enough to bring in some sales and generate money for Nintendo. All right. So Nintendo just announced its Gamescom 2026 lineup. And some of those games include Pokemon, Splatoon, Nintendo Switch Sports, Metaphor Refantasia, which is Atlas spin-off game of Persona and SMT Shin Megami Tensei. Some Minecraft IP, football, James Bond, and Call of Duty. So in this lineup, you're probably wondering, like, well, where's even the Nintendo game? Right? There's only like 3. Where's like, I mean, I don't know if it was been a while since we had the last Link game, or where's like Donkey Kong, y'all? I mean, we had Kirby Air Ride, but I don't think it was much of a success. I didn't really see many people play or talk about it. We have Mario Party, Mario Kart. What about Luigi's Mansion, or anything the sort? It doesn't feel like the developer ecosystem or community for Nintendo in general is well received at a positive note, because of like I don't want to say predatory terms of SDK use, but man, if you're developing video game for Nintendo, they take a pretty big cut. And unless you are a direct contact or something with Nintendo, you basically don't make any money, honestly. I think that's why there's not a lot of studios that exclusively develop for Nintendo. Because that's what kind of happened with Game Freak and those other studios. And then they're just stuck there. You know? They probably learned the proprietary engine that Nintendo Switch uses, or Nintendo in general. And then now the developers are too old to adapt. Learning a new SDK, API, and whatnot. You know, it's just unfortunate, because probably those people weren't able to find any people, or there was no entry-level position. I mean, people these days don't even hire for entry-level position, am I right? Back in the day, it's like they train you on the job. But nowadays, if you don't know anyone, and if you don't already contribute at a senior level, you just don't get hired for anything, which is so weird. I don't know what went wrong. See, this is one thing I generally don't understand, what went wrong with the older generation and gatekeeping the jobs, the money, and all that. I'm not really sure what's going on there. I feel like there's a lot of people that are wealthy with undiagnosed mental health issues or problems. And this is reflecting on society with all this corrupt money laundering and bad business, like unethical business choices that, you know, are questionable in real justice terms. You know, I'm talking about real law and justice, not the laws that rich people make. Those are not real laws, guys and girls. Real laws are all neutral and impartial. But these laws that we have today, they're limiting, restricting, and they don't really serve the consensus of both people, you know, the upper layer of the elites, the rich people, and the working class. You know, laws have to apply to everybody. So I don't really believe in laws that don't apply to everybody. That's not how the justice system works. And I think everybody knows that. And I'm not a lawyer, but that's just common sense. Why would anybody want to participate in an ecosystem where, such as Nintendo, where the bar is very high, and that's just gonna force the ecosystem that they monitor or whatever control to slowly decline, right? Because people, even though you have a big brand name, it won't attract any talent when you're just really being a leech. Like, it doesn't matter how appetizing the river is. If there's leeches in that shit, I ain't gonna fish there. So, could the Switch 2 become the main console where you play everything? As what they're trying to do right now. I don't know what kind of software updates they'll be doing, but most of those games in the lineup will probably be playing at a low resolution in order to utilize the hardware of the Nintendo Switch 2. And then in the other section, we'll see like if they were to compete against the market today, would they even succeed? And I have some doubts there because it's kind of too late to compete, in my opinion. So I think I'll think on that later. So let's talk about the lineup, all right? So as the first lineup of the titles, we have Nintendo Switch Sport. Hold on. I'm just verifying my source real quick. Okay, yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's actually a very lackluster lineup. I mean, like I said, all these titles are pretty old, but it's a good time if you wanted to play one of those games, which is great. So, hopefully, my info is up to date. You know, we got the Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, which I love Nintendo Switch Sports. You know, I love playing that ping pong. And it was a bowling. They have bowling there, right? That one's fun, but like it's only fun for like 30 minutes, and then you're done. So maybe they'll add something. I don't know. You got Pokemon Pokepia with their latest expansion going to come out soon. I don't really play Pokemon Pokepia, but it looks like a good game. It's like Minecraft with Pokemon and a little bit of base building exploration. And then we have the Splatoon Raiders. So if you love Splatoon, yeah, get ready for the next installment. I know there's probably a lot of people that love Splatoon. It's a good game. It's somewhat competitive and fun and goofy. But when you think about other games coming out right now, like Deadlock, and I guess people still play Fortnite. You know, there's just so many better options. So you're not really limited to just playing Splatoon, and it's not as popular unless they have a PC port. Now think about that. Yeah, so Nintendo's like they definitely don't want to take advice. Very stubborn people, you know, hard-headed, which is okay. I don't care. And then we have, you know, third-party titles like First Light and all that. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 4, EA Sports, Metaphor, Minecraft Dungeons, and Orbitals. And a lot of this is going to be announced and talked about further in August 26th to 30. But I don't know, because they recently had the Fire Emblem. I forgot if they're going to showcase more of that, like the new Fire Emblem game. Isn't it supposed to be a continuation of Three Houses or something? It's not Engage, but something else. Maybe they'll have some special announcements there too, like maybe 3 other games. Because there's no way this is the actual lineup. It's very small. So they showed the games in there, but like I said, it'll probably be downscaled. So I wouldn't look too forward to it, because as of now, the Nintendo Switch is pretty much ancient hardware right now. I mean, compared to a lot of things. So like Nintendo Switch 2 hardware is just a 6-core CPU. I mean, 8 cores, 6 for games, 2 for system, followed by 12 gigabytes of DDR5. Like, mind you, we're on DDR7 VRAM, soon to DDR8 in maybe 1 or 2 years. So that's really old. All right, that's super old. So I'm not too sure if it's going to survive another, not even another, definitely not 2 years. So like if you're looking to get a Nintendo Switch 2, I mean, at the price that it is right now, or the price of anything, honestly, right now, I would just opt for trying to find a used PC. You'll get more bang for your buck that way. Try scouring online for used PC parts. I think that's the best way. Try to find some good deals. There's a lot of companies that are liquidating their hardware, but I know a lot of these companies, they're just destroying their electronics. So if you know somebody at a company that's liquidating or getting rid of old electronics, try to keep in touch with them like anybody. Just ask them, yo, are you guys throwing away electronics? Maybe offer them a deal. Some of these companies, they will take some good offers. Lots of people getting cheap hardware, and you can still enjoy a nice free time of really good indie games on the PC via Steam, GOG, or any other platform like Epic Games. Yeah, anything. Wow. So yeah, this lineup is less about Nintendo promising a future, but more about Nintendo just they're on the back wheel right now and they're just getting slow cooked. So my only question right here is like, are you actually looking forward to these games launching on to the Nintendo Switch 2? Are you excited for any of these titles? Maybe Splatoon Raiders is the key highlight of this, or maybe they'll announce a new Link Zelda game that will definitely get the crowd pumping. But after Tears of the Kingdom? Sorry, I don't have a Switch 2, so I don't really play. I mean, I had a Switch, but the latest Switch game I did play was Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I mostly just play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, whatever. But other than that, I personally move on. I'm a busy person. So after all that, there's like, you think about, damn. Well, what exactly is Nintendo even doing, right? Now, what are they even developing? Well, right now, what they've been developing is a lot of copyright cases in the court. They'd be suing a lot of people, left and right. So I think that's what they've been focusing more on. Suing and patenting useless shit that other countries don't really care about. The thing about copyright law and laws in general is it doesn't, unless other countries believe in your law and justice system, it doesn't matter. Right? But the only way to make it matter is if you're a fascist and you exert your military power on said countries and instill your own type of mini government, which is very bad and very negative in my opinion, because we've already been through this kind of phase so many times in history, and for adults to keep continuing to do that kind of stuff, it's just kind of like we never learn from our lessons. So I don't know how we're going to get through the future with this kind of thinking. But anyways, let's go to Nintendo's own games. We're going to analyze, like I said, talk about more about their infrastructure and what could be going on in the development side. So Nintendo Switch Sports Resort is not really a showstopper. It's exactly the kind of game people will understand after 30 seconds and then they'll just forget about it. But such as when it came out with the Wii, like Wii Sports, that was really cool and fun. It really had the vibe. Maybe they'll bring back that vibe. And then we have Pokemon Pokopia with their expansion pass. It's more for diehard Pokemon fans, which is fine. Pokemon's always a nice franchise right now. It's still good. I don't even know why that keeps happening. I personally don't really play any Pokemon games anymore. But from time to time, it's always nice to watch the anime, I guess. I mean, I just really think the longevity of a franchise, as long as it has been going for things like One Piece and Dragon Ball, I feel like the audience the audience target demographic has greatly deteriorated. We can take a look at Naruto, right? Naruto pretty much ended in around the 10 to maybe almost 20-year lifespan. And while it's still known and popular, it doesn't really hit sales numbers as much, so they can't really bring back that IP. And nobody really cares if you're paying for those characters because there's always something interesting and different, you know. Right now, life is definitely on a hyper consumer zoomer distraction doomer type vibe, you know, which is basically if you're not getting hype that goes zoom zoom zoom, you're gonna go to the doom doom doom, and then you're boom boom boom. So basically you have only 3 months in your product. That's basically what's going on right now. People consume extremely hard. They make so much content. They don't really enjoy the product, and then after 3 months we move on. You know, clearly I'm correct because we've seen that with a lot of technological advancements, especially with like the Apple products, like the Apple Vision Pro, new phones in general, even graphics cards. People move on real quick. And the only reason why things are still expensive today is just because of inflation and monopolies. That's literally the only thing holding back the economy and innovation right now. And when we think about this in Nintendo's perspective, it's kind of true, you know. They've really been holding back on the graphics for Nintendo Switch 2, and the hardware is never up to date. So like when you really think about it, if you actually think about it, they've been selling you pixel games in so many years, and now that even indie developers catch up to the kind of development in games that we were making, you find yourself thinking like, holy shit, why am I paying Nintendo $70 for a low tier game when these indie developers like Baldur's Gate 3, Expedition 33, and so many other titles in the indie scene, they are so much better and they cost a third of the price. Like, people, consumerism, and people in general, they're just gonna be like, well, wow, I'm literally just scamming myself. Unless you're a really diehard fan of a brand, right? So I'm not really anti-consumerism, but how am I supposed to save money when everything, the government, even corporations, everything is trying to take our money? How am I supposed to live a happy life, right? So we're at this counterintuitive point, and it greatly shows for Nintendo because none of the focus is on their own IP anymore. They're trying to capture any type of hype. Like I said, the hype, zoom, doom, boom. See, I coined that one. Hype, zoom, doom, boom. Those 4 stages. And if it doesn't succeed, actually it doesn't need to succeed. That's how it'll go. And then what is Nintendo going to do then? So they might have to wind down some departments at Nintendo. And still, to this day, Pokemon still remains one of Nintendo's strongest IPs that they own. But I think even the original developers don't work there anymore. Like Game Freak, pretty sure there are more new developers and whatnot. And then we have Splatoon Raiders, which is another strong IP. has distinct gameplay. You know, I think they actually patented all of the gameplay in that game, so we don't need to worry about that one at all. And Nintendo's own lineup feels dependable rather than explosive. You know, it's just a solid thing. Nothing too crazy. Nothing that I'm going to talk about after a month. So unless Splatoon Raiders gets an they may have a small esports scene or a major one or a huger presence, I don't think it will survive a hype more than maybe a month. But I could be wrong. It doesn't really matter. It's just personal opinion. And because the real headline is not Pokemon or Switch sports, it was mostly about like third-party lineups like Call of Duty and First Light, all that. But those titles are kind of done. I don't know if anybody's excited about that one personally. Yeah, my friends play those games. So are those titles going to be even playable? You know, 60 frames per second, 4K resolution? Probably not, unless they're using like some NVIDIA advanced DLSS, you know, 4 or 5 that also has to connect to the cloud for processing power, which they could probably do, but it's going to be slow. Is crossplay going to be supported? Maybe, who knows? What about the storage space, you know? Who knows? I mean, when I look at the Nintendo Switch 2 specs, it's very outdated, like I said earlier. I mean, nothing that you've seen in these other games, you won't really see a difference for the Switch 2, so I don't really know what to talk about on this part, other than if they have some special event with Nintendo, maybe you will see some cameos or a collab, like, I don't know, Super Mario or something. Then it might be mildly interesting. And then as for like stronger titles like the Call of Duty series, excuse me, maybe I'll see some people playing that, but I mean, that's just gonna really diverge Nintendo's audience further from the Nintendo Switch 2, because why would I play Call of Duty on the Nintendo Switch 2 when I can sell my Switch 2 and like I said, get a decent used gaming PC? Like, why? So I feel like Nintendo is over, or I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know how old the business people are in Nintendo, but these kind of choices, it's time to realize that your reign in the industry of family gaming, whatever, it's kind of over now. You know, a lot of these industries are reaching their lifespan. Like I said, most companies start winding down after 25 years. Not because of like what they're doing and whatnot. It's just the life cycle, you know. The starting part is always the hard part. You attract the top talent. After the top talent retires, you know, then you have a lot of business people, but a lot of ideas, but no one's putting in the effort needed, or the innovation, or the hard work, or creativity. And I'm not a business expert, but that's what I've been noticing in a lot of these businesses. And you could definitely see that when you look at AMD, right? Remember when AMD was down there in the dumps in 2015, 2016? And then Dr. Lisa Su, brought it back with her miraculous expertise and obviously connections and intelligence behind. So, but nowadays, most of their sales numbers and all that it's all inflated, because it's all subsidized by taxpayer money. Everybody knows that. You already know how a lot of the top 10 companies are basically just giving each other money and buying each other's products. business to business sales and all that. I don't really have anything much to say there. I'm not even rich. I don't even have any money. So yeah, it doesn't really matter to us. Well, that's pretty much what's going on. But in Nintendo's case, they don't really have any business to business partners to rely on, right? And Nintendo's sitting on their island, physically and metaphorically, doing all these things, but they don't have anyone to help them stay afloat, right? And that's the problem with Nintendo. They're sinking and they don't want help. Like, dead ass. Like all the other companies like Meta, Google, Nvidia, Oracle, they're also sinking, OpenAI, but at least when there's aid, they're reciprocating in a positive way. But Nintendo, shit, man, they're hard-headed. I don't know why. I guess it's a pride thing. So, I mean, once you add the rest of the games of the roster, Nintendo's strategy is becoming clear, They really don't have a strategy. There's like nothing. So, like I said, we'll take a look at the full lineup and what I think about it further in detail, and what other games could be added to their lineup to strengthen their presence, So we got the shooter game. So they're definitely covering all the genres. They got the FPS, cinematic action, sports, JRPG, co-op action, our family social game, a little bit of competitive, some cozy games, and smaller creative titles. But I don't think it would be enough for me to want to even buy one. It still amazes to me how people still seek the Switch 2. I'm guessing they're just not aware of other alternatives, or maybe the market for hardware is just actually dwindling or getting, what's that called? Supply chain block on purpose by investors and shareholders, which everybody should be coming up to terms with now, And no one's. I believe all my viewers are intelligent people, and there's no point in trying to scheme because everybody finds out eventually. Doesn't matter how much of a genius you are at selling this pen or selling this car. Like, if you just don't acknowledge it, then it doesn't exist, right? So a lot of these games, they're pretty much ran their lifespan already. And unless you haven't played it, unless you want to pay $70 again, that doesn't really sound interesting. And I'm pretty sure a lot of parents don't have the budget for that. So the Switch succeeded despite uneven third-party support. Maybe. I really don't see the forecast for Nintendo in that. But maybe, like I said, they might have a surprise. So there's definitely going to be a surprise. Maybe 2 to 5 surprises during their Gamescon lineup. So what do you think? Do you think the Switch 2 has what it takes? I'm pretty sure I would put my money on the Switch 3 because with the specs that we said before, 8 cores, still using DDR5 dynamic memory for both as RAM and graphics. It's not really gonna cut it anymore, especially with newer titles utilizing engines like on the new Unreal Engine 5, soon to be 6, and a lot of the features that Nvidia has in store. I feel like the market only will move because the market is already defined by Nvidia, so we'll have to just put our heads down and wait for the monopolized Nvidia to make its move, and that will probably be what Nintendo relies on most, right? Because they're dependent. All these gaming companies now are very dependent on Nvidia, and if the Nvidia doesn't do well, everybody's screwed. Everybody's gonna die. The world's gonna explode. basically, basically, guys and girls. It's crazy how that happened, right? Nvidia is the #1 innovator right now. We gotta pay respects to Mr. Jensen Huang. So I don't know what's gonna happen in that regards, but it's not gonna be an easy transition. We definitely need other competitors, but it's really hard because every investor is just putting money into Nvidia and basically money laundering to sister companies and partnered companies. Everybody knows how that works. Endowments, what's that? Grants, blah blah blah. So for Nintendo, right? What feels weak? You know, definitely Atlanta feels weak. I think it's not that strong, and they definitely have to have, like I said, some surprises. And ultimately, I would still watch the highlights for Nintendo Gamescom, but I feel like the highlight is definitely going to be the direction of what Nintendo is going to take. And maybe the writing now is on the wall, you know, with rising hardware costs, a lack of community, a lack of developers. Oh man, if you can't read the room at that point, man, if you're working at Nintendo, I'd be trying to look for another job right now, because it doesn't look that hot or sound that hot. I mean, the industry is not that hot. The economy is not that hot right now globally. As much as I am suffering, I mean, I think everybody's kind of suffering, except for, you know, our rich people. I don't really have anything to say. I guess at this point, are we as adults or human beings, are we evolving and maturing, or are we just deteriorating and just hoarding? I don't know. Everybody seems corrupt these days. So who knows what Nintendo has up with a lot of lawsuits in their way and copyright stuff. I don't think that's enough to hold their company at all. You know, the only people that make money from those lawsuits are the executives. So like, if you're a middle management right now at Nintendo and you think you're going to be having a happy time, and you're about to get backstabbed. It's literally just common sense in the corporate world. You're going to get backstabbed by the executives. So like, I don't know how dumb you are, naive you are, or loyal you are. You're just going to get backstabbed 100%. So like, you should start looking for another place or something. I don't know. You know what they say about business, they don't care about your feelings, and mostly everybody is a liar when it comes to business. That's why I don't like it, because I'm not a liar type. You know, in my opinion, like, adults shouldn't be lying. Like, you have to lie. Wait, just for sales numbers and all that. Like, imagine what your kid would think about that. Like, oh, it's just, I don't even want to think, but that's just stupid. So probably Nintendo will pull through with a surprise. It's going to be a huge surprise. You know, they don't need to switch to outperform every console, and definitely won't be outperforming PC and even like the free alternatives to everybody. I feel like there's going to be some new competition in the hardware scene very shortly. If you haven't heard, there's actually 4 legendary engineers and architects that will soon be coming out of the woodworks when it comes to hardware technology in general. So hopefully you're all prepared for that. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo isn't prepared at all, because I don't really think they expand their horizon past that. So I think Nintendo, in my opinion, doesn't have a strong lineup this year, and the forecast is going to be really weak. And unless they have the Switch 3 coming out, which is highly undoubtedly, since the Switch 2 just came out maybe like 3 years ago, I think. And hardware is only getting more expensive. I highly doubt they have enough bandwidth to cover all that, right? Developing a game, securing hardware contracts. Yeah, that's done. They definitely don't have enough money to compete with those bigger companies like Google, Oracle, Facebook, Meta. I mean, Microsoft. Unless they're all going to partner together with Nintendo, I don't see that dream coming true at all. So, what do you think the big surprise at Gamescom is going to be? And do you think the lineup for Nintendo is strong? I mean, do you think Nintendo's going to announce the Switch 3? Are we going to see Nintendo pivot to the PC market? Which is not too late. It's never too late. I think the problem with that is like they don't want it to get modded or have mods or whatever. I don't know what their stance is. I don't know how old they are thinking and what they believe in, but most of the time it's not really clear when they talk about these aspects, unless you're in their investor call or something. But as of now, yeah, Nintendo is kind of cooked. Obviously, everybody's been saying that, but I think it's actually starting to show. But from a different topic that's still about Nintendo, I think their next console, they'll probably partner with Intel, because Intel might be a cheaper alternative, especially in contracts for their hardware, and maybe they'll use Intel processor and Intel's up and coming graphics card lineup because it's cheaper. I don't know. Not too sure. But Pokemon is still a good franchise, like I said. Still a good franchise. Hopefully they keep the anime going. And Mario is still cool, Super Mario. But yeah, I can't really think of anything positive to say. I mean, we have Fire Emblem, so hopefully they'll announce something about that. And a new Zelda game, a Link game. Trying to think about anything else that I want to say. That's pretty much it for this episode of Walk, Talk, and Rock. Yeah, I don't really have much else to add. It was kind of a quick one, so I'm still gonna keep playing. Maybe we'll add a little bonus section here. I just want to talk about what kind of games I would like to see from Nintendo. Let's talk about the new Fire Emblem game a little bit. You know, Fortune's Weave. That comes out this year in August, so in 2 weeks we'll see Fortune's Weave. But man, Fire Emblem has really dumbed down, and seeing that the age rating is now 12, it's just really sad because I really liked Fire Emblem series, especially I think Awakening and the one after that, Revelations or whatever. That was the peak of Fire Emblem series, in my opinion, because we still had the unique systems of like breeding. I mean, offspring system. And it was so fun connecting in a way. I mean, Three Houses kind of had that still, but it wasn't really more randomized. No, they didn't have that, sorry. Yeah. And this one, it just feels like I don't know. Fortune's Weave, it's just the bare minimum, in my opinion. There's nothing really new about it. It's just different characters, but it's overall the same shit. You know. Hopefully we see a little bit more about that one. Fortune's Wave. See what else we got going on here for Nintendo. Oh, Star Fox, right? Oh, that's old. That already came out. So they did have like a Donkey Kong. Well, like, damn, they barely have anything. Maybe they'll announce a new Animal Crossing. 100%. You know, I feel like a new Animal Crossing surprise would definitely be huge in their favor, because I feel like we haven't had a new Animal Crossing game in a hot minute, right? Let me see. Yeah, we haven't really had a new Animal Crossing game in a hot minute. I mean, I wouldn't count New Horizon Nintendo Switch 2 Edition a new game. And New Horizons has been out since 2020. And I'm pretty certain that the development time, if they were starting active development for 4 years now, they could probably announce a new Animal Crossing game. Because I feel like a lot of people love casual gaming right now. And that's what I love, casual gaming. That's what I'm doing after work, hard day of work, getting screwed over by bills, taxes, and everything else in between, insurance and everything. You know, I like a casual gaming session, so definitely Animal Crossing would be a really good surprise. Maybe they'll add in a lot of more features from a lot of the Animal Crossings. Not to say that Horizons already has a lot of features that are good. You know, they could definitely improve and add more, especially from that one game, that Tomodachi Life series, Tomodachi Life game. Oh my god, is it Tomodachi? What is it called? It's Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. Right. That was released this year in April, right? That game kind of did wonders. But like I said, we're living in a very hyper consumerism culture these days, you know. The hype, doom and boom. Like I said, that game only lasted like 3 months. And I mean, there's still some people that play it, but it's not a remarkable retention span, or remarkable retention span. That's correct. Yeah. So maybe they'll have something like that. You know, imagine if they made the new Animal Crossing combined with Tomodachi Life. They call it Animal Crossing or something. I don't know. Or maybe that was the game that they focused more time on. I don't know. I feel like they're just, for a lot of Nintendo's things, it's more family-friendly games. But a lot of their audience now are young adults, and definitely adults. So like, I really don't have time to be playing these kid games. And there's a lot of games that I'm more interested in, different genres. And I feel like a lot of new families these days, you know, we don't have money, we don't have budget to spend on Nintendo shit that costs an arm and a leg these days. I mean, the only people that's really going to be buying all of these games are millionaires. Am I right? You know, if you ain't a millionaire in 2026, bro, you don't have a future. And that's always been true. And it's more true now because, you know, we're running out of oil, we're running out of GPUs, we're running out of RAM. Yeah, so right now it's not really a great time. I feel like we were born in the wrong timeline. So the first 20 years were kind of fun, and now it's just damn, lots of problems. And it's not really Nintendo's fault, honestly. It's more of the how much things would be using. But yeah, Animal Crossing would be cool. What else can I do from Nintendo? Maybe a new Mario Kart? I don't know, Mario Kart's always the same shit. It's the same formula. I mean, I guess it's good. I feel like everybody's had enough of Mario Kart. Oh, okay, what would really tip the scales though? A new Super Smash Brothers, okay. Maybe they'll announce a future plan for Nintendo Switch 2 Pro. Do they have that? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, they don't. What if they announce a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro console? Or I don't know what they're gonna call it. And then Sakurai comes onto the stage and be like, everybody, I didn't retire yet. My medical bill's too high. My steak not buttery. I mean, my lobster not buttery. My steak dry. Super Smash Brothers, is it 7? Coming out. Oh my god, that would be crazy. Like, that's gonna print. That's gonna print, y'all. And then he'd be like, this is the biggest game of all time. Over 120 character roster. Oh my god. Everybody's gonna get a heart attack. Imagine. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore. Series pretty much over. I'm just trying to walk for an hour. But oh my god, I hope there's no Minecraft Steve in my next Super Smash Brothers. They need to nerf that character. That character sucks. I don't know, it's just because in tournaments that character's played often, but I don't really got much to say. I feel like characters that manipulate the stage is kind of OP. I guess it becomes not a fun matchup for anyone. But that would be a crazy surprise. Let's see if there's anything about that. No, there's no rumors or anything, huh? Now, I don't understand how Nintendo hasn't found another person to take over the Super Smash Brothers franchise, you know? I just don't understand. It's literally just a fighting 2D platform fighting game. Just a bunch of characters thrown in. I don't know how hard that is. So I don't really have much to say about that, you know. Sakurai has definitely made his money. He's tired and he's retiring, winding down. And I'm also getting tired of paying high prices for anything. Like, damn, it's crazy because, like, when we think about the global economy, you know, everybody's saying the economy is doing good. The rich people are getting richer. They're having their best time of their life. They have so many kids. They're prospering. But then, like, the other 90% is just really shit. You know, I basically wake up, I do the same thing every day. What do I even have to look forward to in my future? You know, in the interview, they ask you, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? What's your next career move? Or how do you think you can improve in your life? What is there to improve, honestly, other than your network and your connections? And if people don't like you, or they prefer someone else because of your looks, or your intelligence, or your age, or just your skin color, or your ethnicity, or even your nationality, Like, it feels like none of that shit even matters anymore. So yeah, it's just a lot of nepotism and favoritism. Um, hopefully we'll be able to survive that, and maybe that's what's happening in Nintendo on a global economic scale. You know, people see Nintendo as something that they would do business with, but who's invested, right? A lot of kids these days are playing Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite, and Pokemon was only appealing to the older generation, which are getting they're already most of them, I think, they're dying. I feel like that generation, only 50% are alive now. A lot of people are dying young. So yeah, Nintendo has nothing to rely on right now. They're, like I said, sinking on the ship by themselves. But you know, if they bring out the Super Smash Brothers, damn, that's gonna be crazy. So yeah, you know, maybe that's gonna be the big surprise. You know, Nintendo definitely has an ace up their sleeve, and with a mid lineup like this one for Gamescom this year, I'm pretty sure there's something really huge. It has to be Super Smash Brothers, a new Super Smash Brothers, like one of those three. All right, a new Animal Crossing, a new Super Smash Brothers, or a new Link Zelda game. Maybe Pokemon, maybe, but I still think they have much to cook, or they're gonna get cooked, or it doesn't matter as much because like the hardware is not there. So yeah, it has to be a Super Smash Brothers. I don't know why I keep saying that. I just think it's a Super Smash Brothers surprise. Okay, that's it for today's Walk, Talk, and Rock. You know, I didn't really add much value to the ending. Didn't really have much to talk about today, in my opinion. And I don't know what to talk about for the next stuff, but I'll think of something to just yap about so I can get in my daily exercise. All right, that's it. I'll see you all in the next Walk, Talk, and Rock.